Alright guys, hey, welcome back to the channel, and we're just going to take another look at the Leo James tsunami. Yeah, there were some things I kind of overlooked, and I apologize for that. I think maybe I was just a little bit excited about getting into this guitar, or at least discovering the fact that at least FedEx would not be delivering it. It came boxed very, very well from Amazon. You know, it came with that ridiculous big box in a box and then in a styrofoam coffin. So several things I need to address again was the back plating is made out of metal. You know, so that's really, really cool, man. And when I flipped it over, I was like, you know, that lettering seems to be really, really nice. But the material right away caught my eyes. It's really nicely reset on here. And then I was trying to take it out, you know, and I forgot, you know, I didn't want to scratch it, but I have this little suction thing that I haven't used forever and a day because it sits in a new tool thing that I don't get into using like an idiot. And again, paint shielded cavity. And so I'm just kind of like scratching my head. You know, I think Leo James on this model is doing a pretty good job at elevating their product. I mean, $205, paint shielded cavity, dual humbucker HS configuration, which is really nice. Nice, not plastic. I mean, that's really cool. Nice recessed, some type of alloy metal for the electronics plate. I wanted to just take a look quickly at that electronics cavity because I'm probably going to replace the three-way selector, or maybe try to lube the one that's in there to see if we can kind of just quiet that down a little bit. Somebody left a comment about the bridge replacement. They had mentioned that there was a company that made it a bridge replacement, which I did see, by the way. Who was this guy over here? G Muna MK5 said try a Tremolo bridge as a replacement bridge. And they do make bridges sort of like in this style, because that other side is a little bit half concaved. It's not fully encircled around the post. But let me tighten this down, guys. Hold on. So yeah, even the adjustment for the claw is also of the same material. Not recessed, but still. Got to hand it to Leo James on this particular model that they did a good job. The edges are not sharp, so it won't cut your finger. You know, so it's just going to show you that in their designing room that at least they met with the manufacturers about how they wanted to address the materials. And so this is nice. And also thinking about this cavity, how it's recessed. You know, the Sterling guitar that I purchased that did end up going back wasn't even recessed, and that's, you know, $600-$800 guitar, $205, and we have a recessed cavity, electronics cavity, made out of a metal alloy. So what's going on, you know? You know, the screws are nicely recessed in the body too. So yeah, it's really, really nice design. It's taken me by surprise. Now, there was stuff coming off on my fingers, but as I cut the strings off, I do have a Floyd Rose special, and somebody was saying that Leo James might have, you know, screwed up by not allowing interchangeable locking bridge to be replaced. But I don't think it's possible just looking at this right here. I just don't see that it is possible. But we're going to just check that real quick because I'm going to take off the strings anyway, and we'll just check it out. And then I also will quickly, without trying to make the video too long, guys, is at least trying the coil tap to see how good it is or isn't. Sometimes it's just for like, it's a selling point. A lot of the times the pickups don't coil tap very well, you know, but you know, the knobs are nice, metal knobs, not the push down plastic type. They actually do have a little they're screwed in type. So what is that, an Allen key screw? That's nice. This might, with a little loop, it might wear down so it gets a little quiet. I think right out of the box, man, that thing was noisy as hell. So let's cut the springs off, the strings off. You see, there I go again, just, you know, not thinking about my wording. Forgive me for that if I mentioned something that in the first video I said, let's check out the locking trem arm, and, you know, without really stating the fact that it's a locking bridge and nut, you know. Yeah, so let's just get to that. Hold on. Some things I will mention, you know, as I, in my early years as a guitar player, since about the age of 19 when I kind of started, you know, there was a time where I really didn't care too much about the aesthetics of the guitar, as long as it was a guitar. Since, you know, many years have passed since then, in the last, I want to say 7 years, 5 to 7 years, I've gone more focused on pickups, definition, clarity, hardware, materials, you know, what kind of metal alloys, you know, because I think as I've gotten older, I'm paying attention to what's coming into the market versus when I was younger. But most kids today don't really care about these things. They just want a nice guitar. And so for the money, this is a wonderful guitar, wonderful instrument. But my point was, I also have invested in many tools to help accommodate the process of getting to the heart of the matter, you know. And sometimes I get stuck, you know. I hoard tools, hoarder. I'm become like a hoarder of certain tools. I can't remember when I bought this screwdriver set. It's for working on laptops, and it's got all those screws in there, you know, hex screws and anything that you may need for computers, or even if you're working on your guitar. But I bought it for working on MacBooks, but the one that I've been using the most is the one that is the most hideous, and then I've had it forever and a day because it's falling apart. You know, it's missing all kinds of things, and yet I don't even use that, and I should be. And just like having a tool drawer over here, I went many years having all of my tools in a cardboard box, you know. So I think I'm coming more into age at 63 about, if I'm going to be doing stuff, let me try to at least do it a little bit with a little bit of emphasis on some sort of professionalism, or at least something that is going to help to make the process easier. You know, I'm not a professional guitar repair, but I have learned how to do intonations and setups, neck relief, check for high fret, low fret. I have all that stuff that you'll find most YouTubers do. You know, I got a fret file from Stu Mac, and so, you know, through the progress, you learn more about all of these things that make for a very good instrument. So it doesn't take long to just look at something and say, okay, and feel something to know how well it may turn out. But it's interesting now, especially in the market where things are really at the bottom of the barrel pricing, and yet look what you're getting. I would have never expected this for the money. Especially a shielded electronics cavity. I mean, they didn't even really have to do that, not for $205, really. So I'm pretty impressed. I was gonna put this humbucker and one of the damaged FedEx guitars. But I actually sold those guitars on Facebook Marketplace. I just decided I wasn't really going to keep them. And some young kid from Arizona came out, and he was more than happy to buy them. I think I think what he wanted to do was to take them apart. I guess maybe in my description of the guitars themselves was a little vague. I had about 15, 20 people asking to buy those guitars. And I took pictures of all the damage that had occurred on them. But I was basically just selling them for what I felt was the value of the parts. I thought the value of the parts was around 40 bucks, you know. I didn't pay for them anyway, so I had a lot of people ask me about those units. So he was only 18 years old, but he took them home and he said he loves them. So I think I did a pretty good job of trying to fix them. And it wasn't anywhere close to professional, but you know. But yeah, so I've invested in better tools, you know, to help the process of when I'm doing things like this, you know. I don't know why this isn't coming up. So sometimes they get lodged down there, but let me get it out. Hold on. Okay, so taking a closer look at the wood of the neck wood, my fingertips were picking up some staining, I think, from this. I don't know exactly what this is. I do see some faint hints of rosewood in there, but is it actually real rosewood? You see there? So I'm gonna hydrate that neck anyway. And yeah, the 17th fret is the wrong lettering. I don't know why they did that with the Roman numerals. Maybe they're trying to give it a, you know, gothic metal kind of a vibe. But the frets really do feel good at the end, you know. And I think every unit will vary. This feels really, really nice. I almost don't want to touch it, but the frets are a bit scratchy. So I'm just going to use my little erasers and just go over the tops. I'm not going to go deep, and then I'm just going to hydrate the neck on this. But what we also could do real quickly is just loosen it, take off the springs. I want to raise this just a tad bit more from where it is, but I want to take off the bridge completely. And then I have a Floyd Rose special that we can see if it even fits in there, and that will end that question that somebody had, that if you can't fit a Floyd Rose on there, that Leo James screwed up. But I don't think so. It's just, it either works or it doesn't. I mean, so it's got just a different type of bridge on here on the top post, but that doesn't make it any less effective. I mean, it was holding up pretty well, so I can't say that that's a negative in any way, just because it's a half-shaped part of that rather than a whole. So we'll see. We'll check it out, see what's up. What's up? So let's just see. Yeah, look at that. That's kind of the dust residue from the fret erasers. You know, you can see that. So let me rub some F1 oil into this fretboard. I think it's sort of stained rosewood to kind of give it more of a black texture, you know. That's kind of what I'm feeling here. Not feeling, but those are my thoughts at 63 years old. You know. Yeah. I need to get me a nice little sponge to do this too. You know. But I use, again, I think it's just laziness on my part, but I like rubbing it in with my fingers as if I think I'm doing anything special. I'm not, guys, and this is not even you know, this is not even the channel where you would come to really get, you know, the proper wording or information. This is just my attempt at looking at the guitar in my own point of view at 63. As a senior, as a guitar player for many years, yeah, that definitely helps. I can see it. It looks nicer, you know, with the F1 oil in the wood here. Some stuff did come off, which is to be expected, but maybe now it won't be rubbing off on my finger, because maybe now the fretboard won't be as parched, you know. The frets are really good size. You know, when I think about the money, man, I'm really taken by the fact, for the money, what these guys offered. This guitar may be one of the best guitars for the price point in the market itself. It definitely has that Jackson Ibanez contour, you know, thing here. Just a nice looking guitar too. And I hope one of you guys will send a link to this channel if you buy the chameleon one or the black one. I would really love to see how the other colors work for you, or what you found out on your unit to be different, if anything. And so let me just check the screws are nice and snug. No, I don't even need to tighten them. Wow, this one's just a tad loose. Yep, nice. All right, I'm gonna take the springs off and let me go grab that Floyd Rose Special and see if it even fits. Okay, well, here it is. I will say this looks cleaner than the ones that come off the Firefly. The ones that come off the Firefly, the alloy looks kind of caked up and junky. But you do have that weight representation, 37, 32, blah, blah, blah. But I know that plays somewhat of a part in here. It's got the nice little felt damper right here. And let me see how high these posts are, because I want to raise it just a little bit. But before I do that, here's the Floyd Rose Special. Okay, and all right, so for the viewer, I am wrong and you are right, sir. It does seem like the Floyd Rose Special, or any Floyd Rose, will fit in there. So yeah, so that's nice. So you can see that even with the wraparound post. Now I don't know if the Floyd Rose Special, you know, this heel right here is any different than the 1000, you know. So this is very thin over here compared to that side. And but this one I think was damaged, so it doesn't have, that's why I don't use it, because the blade, the inside blade is kind of jacked. See, this says 32 on it, you know. So this is lighter. What feels heavier? This feels heavier. But so, okay, so Floyd Rose does fit. And let me just measure that and then put it back in. So the post on the treble side is a little shy of, it's about 8.5 to 9 millimeters.
Ranger knows that if you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility,
pretty much the same.
Working right, you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when
that looks to be about 8 millimeters.
Diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem.
Yeah, it's about 8, 9. So I'm just going to raise it a little bit, but not more than 10. Just a half of a twist. Just enough to give me a little bit of more height on that bottom E. Looking in here with my light, definitely looks like mahogany right here. pretty clean, man. Honestly, like $205. Shit, that's crazy, right? Crazy. Okay, so the bridge pickup is coming in at around 13.2K. Much harder than the ST Pro HSS. So the middle is almost at 7. Okay, 7K, and then the neck is at, interesting, 14.2K. So hotter than the bridge. Maybe that's kind of gonna give it more of a scooped end, but it is a humbucker, so this has got a pretty high output in the neck. Interesting. You would think it would be lower, as it is kind of the standard, right? But I have a question for you guys out there. Now, when it comes to using a coil tap, coil split, this is just me thinking in my head. If you eliminate the coil tap and went with just a traditional potentiometer, will the humbucker perform hotter? Is there some sort of leakage even though it's hooked up to the coil split? You know, coil split is at 6.83. Okay, so without any volume in the bridge, I would hope that it would be at 0.00, but there's a 0.3 leakage or loss of signal somewhere. So if you're fully in the bridge, so if I move the tone pot, you know, am I losing that much because it's hooked up to the coil tap? Would I gain more output if it didn't have a coil tap? But I don't see anything happening here, so that's always been my question. I haven't really put it to theory. So if I eliminated the coil tap, would it read 0.0.0 rather than 0.3? So there is some flexibility to that, and it looks like it could go down to 0.0.0. Is that because of the coil tap? Or is it the volume itself? So we're down to 2 here. Anyway, let's just be done with that. That was just a question, guys. Hey, this is not an official breakdown. I don't even know what I'm doing showing you all this. This is just for my own personal interest anyway, you know. Might help some of you to understand where I'm coming from at my age, when there was a time when I could give one rat's ass about any of this. But man, you give this to your kids, man, wow, just imagine what you get for the money. Beautiful paint job, styling. I think the last 2 models, I've never really been a fan of Leo James, that's what's crazy. But these last 2 models that I tried were very, very, I would say, just good quality, you know, decent guitars you can really go with. The frets, I like these frets. They're not skinny frets, kind of like the Donner guitars. They have shitty frets, man, on most of their guitars. These have some really decent frets on them. They're in between a medium jumbo and like more like a medium. Not a medium jumbo, but they're definitely medium. It's like got some meat on them, which is really, really nice. So let's string it up and let's do the coil tap, since I really didn't do anything about the coil tapping last time. And we did solve the mystery about whether or not a Floyd Rose could be swapped out. So that's good to know. So if you wanted to drop in a 1000, hopefully that would work. That would take this guitar to the next level, right? Dropping in a Floyd Rose 1000. Because what I think I realized by changing out the one in the Firefly was the spring tensions. The springs themselves are responsible for coming back to 0. And I think the springs on the Firefly were very poor, And I noticed that the springs on the 1000 were just a different alloy and much softer, not firm, not crazy firm. So I think the springs have a lot to do a lot with how the guitar comes back to zero. Good springs are the way the springs flex and contract. Better alloy probably brings it back to a zero setting rather than not. And when you have a cheap alloy spring, then it probably loses its memory to come back to zero because it's a poor alloy. So I think the springs, this is just off the top of my head, has a lot to do with how the tremolo will really function well. So I might even invest in springs, because I do have a Charvel that's kind of hiccupy. Maybe the springs on that one just need to be swapped out, because the locking tremolo is only from here to there. So what could possibly keep it from coming back to zero? Well, bad post, where the posts have engraved markings inside and they get caught up in that little zero edge. So I was very careful to raise this just a tad bit more. Anyway, leave your thoughts down below. I really appreciate when you guys leave your comments. It kind of helps me to know where I'm at when I'm making a video, and what did I miss, what can I do possibly better to convey a thought, because I do get lost in my thoughts. And at 63, man, who the hell knows? So let's get it stringed up and see what she sounds like. Okay, so we finally got all that done, and now we will just kind of go through it on a clean setting using the McLaughlin suite, and then we're gonna coil tap it and see how that sounds, which could be a little promising for some players. And again, when it comes to the coil tapping, I think it comes to the amp settings you have for yourself. And you know, if it's just all distorted, I think it's a total wash. But depending on your amp settings, that is the only way you're going to bring out the real character of the coil tap, coil split sound. So this is the humbucker. Position. All right, in the neck. Coil tap now in the bridge. Okay, bridge fully engaged. Coil tap. Middle position, fully engaged. Coil tap. in that kind of sort of telly-ish kind of tone. Actually a useful tone right there. Okay, let's go to the neck, fully engaged. We were in that 14K range, so let's split that. Clean up a lot of that muddiness. Staying in the split. Bridge split. Let's see if we can get just a little bit of edge of breakup. Let me see if I can dial that in real quick. Okay, and so for the sort of edge of breakup, I switched over to the Tone King by Neural DSP, and this has also got, I haven't spent a lot of time with every DSP I have, so this is called Clean Clay. I'm in the middle position with it still in the coil tap. A little bit of the neck. Here's some bridge. Middle position. Just a little bit of that neck. to normal settings. This tremolo actually works very, very well. I think anybody will find it to be very on par. You know, it's just like it's good. I mean, really. Well, there you go, guys. We've explored a lot today. So I think that covers the whole guitar. What are my final thoughts, man? It is really an excellent guitar to play. Um, you know, it offers more quality than you really should get for $205, and with a variety of different colors and contrasts. I don't think you can go wrong with this. You know, matching headstock, um, which doesn't look too bad. I'm glad that it's the whole thing is actually painted. You know, so the tsunami is a winner chicken dinner. The back of this neck just feels so wonderful. It feels better than even some of the Fireflies that ever came in, and they still have roasted maple too. But this one just feels really slick, man. I think it's a great unit. I think it is the best unit for $205. Either this or the ST Pro models are really packing a lot of money for a lot of value for the money, you know. And so those are my final thoughts. And there's no need for me to get rid of this. Just, you know, play the guitar whenever I get around to it. This, whatever you want to call it, locking trem, unbranded, it really is holding up. It's everything comes back to zero. And that is one of the major issues you'll get with Chinese import, is that the locking tremolo is just kind of whacked out with the first bend, you know, it just goes out of whack. I mean, that's part of what this is all about. So it's definitely a heavy metal guitar, but it's got a reliable locking tremolo. Go figure. For $205, I mean, any tremolo that comes back to zero with no issues, I don't care if it's the Floyd's or whatever. I mean, that to me is a quality trem. Um, you know, you're not going to sit there having to tune it every time you use the whammy bar, and that is a lot. And if it was kind of like that, I definitely wouldn't even want to keep it. You don't want to be facing problems with tuning issues, and nobody wants that. So at $205, yeah, this is an excellent, excellent machine, excellent axe, just wonderful unit. So there you go. Sorry for the long video. We're kind of like over into that long range, but we covered a lot of things that I missed. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to convey the best I can about this particular model, and the ST Pro, again, to me, has a lot of value, you know, with the bridge that it had, and I think the HH version was a better version. The pickups were hotter, and it sounded better, and it had a lot to offer with the quality of that bridge. And the headstock too, which was a really, really nice. So they have more of that sure sort of headstock. A lot of guitars are always copying that sure headstock, but it looks nice. And nothing came off my fingers. A little bit. There's just a little bit of that dye that they used on that rosewood, but overall it's not too bad. I mean, so this is a really enjoyable neck. I'm surprised. It feels like ball end frets, but they just did a good job on the fret ends. Really, no joke, man. So there you go. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for your comments, and I hope you found this video to be informational to you. And we got to learn a lot about a lot of the other things I kind of overlooked, you know, with the backing plate, and that a Floyd Rose will fit in here, no problem. And so I guess if you wanted to change the pickups, you could do that. You got quality knobs that are locked down with a hex screw. So, and there you go. So that's it, guys. Have a blessed week. Take care. Hope this helps cover a lot of those things I kind of missed. My bad. But there you go. Take care. Have a blessed day. Or evening, now that it's evening here.